No, Nanny lasted weak with the millionaire CEO's twins until she showed up and did what no one ever. Maddie Carter was already 30 minutes late. Her blouse was half tucked, one shoe was missing a lace, and somehow she had managed to get peanut butter on her elbow. She muttered to herself as she sped up the sidewalk. First day as a nanny for a millionaire tech CEO, and I look like I lost a fight with a sandwich. The towering black gates of the Brooks estate loomed ahead. Maddie took a deep breath and pressed the intercom. No response. She tried again. Still nothing. "Great," she whispered, peering through the bars. With a shrug and a surprising lack of hesitation, she pushed the gate open and walked straight in. The Brooks mansion sat like a glass and steel museum, elegant, cold, silent. Maddie stepped inside and was instantly swallowed by the silence until a scream broke the stillness. "Hazel, go to the left." "No." "Right, get the glitter." Maddie's eyes snapped toward the grand staircase just as two girls, identical down to their mismatched socks and pigtails, charged down the hallway chasing a remote-controlled car with a Barbie zip-tied to the roof and a trail of glitter spilling behind. To the kitchen, Barbie's gotta make her escape. The Barbie mobile skidded under a credenza. The twins hit the brakes and froze when they spotted Maddie. One pointed. "Who are you?" "The pizza lady," the other guessed. "I'm Maddie Carter," she said, forcing a smile. "Your new nanny." They stared. One twin whispered something and suddenly the other sprinted behind Maddie. "Push!" She stumbled forward through a set of double doors and straight into the private office of Nathan Brooks, billionaire widower, and the most famously difficult employer in the state of Oregon. Nathan stood at his desk, stunned. He was tall, dressed in gray slacks and a button-down sleeves rolled up. He looked like he hadn't slept in a week. "You're the new nanny?" he asked, glancing at the glitter in her hair. "And you must be the stressed-out tech guy with no idea how to raise girls," Maddie replied without thinking. "En dandes estomos spinning bunbur." His eyebrows rose. "Excuse me." "You heard me." She brushed glitter from her sleeve. "I think your kids just tried to set Barbie on fire." Nathan blinked. From outside the door, the girls called through the keyhole. "Now you two can fall in love or something." Maddie turned bright red. Nathan just exhaled slowly and muttered, "This has never happened before." But in that chaotic, ridiculous moment, something shifted. The silence in the house had finally been broken. And somewhere behind all the mess and peanut butter and glitter, a story had just begun. The Brooks house hadn't echoed with laughter in almost a year. Not since the accident. Not since Nathan lost his wife, and Harper and Hazel lost their mom. But that changed on day one. Later that evening, the girls were sprawled on the living room floor, surrounded by crayon stickers and the remains of a pillow fort. Maddie sat cross-legged between them, her jeans speckled with glitter and juice stains. She was halfway through a dramatic reading of The Dragon Princess Saves the World, complete with different voices and impromptu sound effects, when Harper burst into laughter. Loud, uncontrollable laughter. Hazel followed, squealing so hard, she rolled off the beanbag chair. Nathan, standing quietly at the entrance of the hallway with a mug in hand, froze. The sound hit him like a wave, familiar and foreign. He hadn't heard that kind of belly laugh since before the funeral, before therapists and bedtime battles, before the revolving door of nannies, most of whom barely lasted a week. He watched Maddie grin like she'd just won the lottery. "You two," she said, tapping Hazel's nose with the book, "are officially the loudest dragons I've ever met." Harper wiped her eyes. "You sound like a grandma when you do the Queen's voice." "Exactly the point," Maddie said in a faux royal accent. "I am Queen Granny Firebeard." The girls collapsed into giggles again. Nathan backed into the hallway before anyone saw him. He leaned against the wall and looked down at the floor. There, a tiny glitter footprint sparkled on the hardwood. He'd spent months trying to keep things quiet, clean, under control. But maybe, just maybe, they didn't need quiet. Maybe they needed Maddie. That night, as the girls brushed their teeth and chattered about dragons and glitter bombs, Harper leaned toward Maddie and whispered, "You're not like the other nannies." Maddie leaned closer. "Oh no? Were the others secretly lizards in human suits?" Hazel gasped. "You know about the lizard theory, too." Harper giggled. "No, you're just not boring. You're fun." Maddie's chest ached in the best way. Somehow, in less than 12 hours, she'd cracked the code no one else could. She hadn't tried to fix them. She didn't tiptoe around their sadness. She just played. And tonight, for the first time in months, laughter wasn't a memory. It was a sound filling the halls again. And Nathan. He noticed. He just didn't know what to do with that yet. Maddie stood quietly in the doorway of the twin girls' bedroom, watching them sleep. It was nearly 10 p.m., and the Brooks mansion was finally still. No screaming, no stomping, no glitter trails leading to the dog's food bowl. Just Harper and Hazel, tucked in their identical freckled faces, soft with sleep, their breathing slow and even. One arm still cradled the plush unicorn Hazel clung to, like a lifeline. Harper's hand dangled off the bed, resting on the open picture book Maddie had read. The Cloud That Cried Laughter. Nathan Brooks, meanwhile, was at the threshold watching Maddie. His expression was unreadable. "You're still here," he said quietly. Maddie looked over her shoulder, startled but smiling. Didn't know leaving mid-bedtime counted as desertion. They usually wake up every 2 hours, he said, arms folded, sometimes screaming, nightmares. Sometimes they just wander the house, looking for her. Maddie's face softened. That hasn't happened tonight. Nathan nodded slowly, still watching his daughters. "You sang to them that song? Was it in Spanish?" "My grandma's lullaby," Maddie said, brushing hair from her face. "It worked on my little cousins. And now, apparently on feral glitter twins, too." Nathan cracked the faintest smile. "They haven't slept through a night since Lila." He stopped. The name caught in his throat. "I know," Maddie said gently. Nathan glanced at the clock. "Do you always fall asleep in a chair between beds?" "I didn't mean to. Guess I passed out mid-book." She glanced at the half-empty mug of tea still resting on the nightstand. "They made me pinky swear I'd be here when they woke up. And that's why they're sleeping." Silence lingered. Nathan turned away. "I'm sure it's just a fluke. First-day charm. It'll wear off." "Maybe," Maddie said, "but maybe it's not about charm." She looked down at the girls. Maybe they just needed someone who didn't expect them to be okay. That stopped him. A long pause followed. Nathan looked at his daughters one last time, then at the woman. This peanut butter-covered stranger, who had somehow achieved peace in a house that hadn't known rest in 8 months. He reached for a folded blanket from the hallway closet and stepped inside. Carefully, he draped it over Maddie's shoulders. She didn't stir. As he turned to leave, he heard her whisper in her sleep. "Glitter. Always needs backup glitter." Nathan almost laughed. He didn't, but for the first time in almost a year, he wanted to. Downstairs, he poured himself a glass of water and stared out the kitchen window into the night. The silence wasn't hollow anymore. It was peaceful, full. And upstairs, Harper and Hazel, safe and sound, dreamed of dragons' cloud laughs and the voice of a nanny who stayed. By the third day, the Brooks mansion no longer resembled a pristine architectural marvel. The formal living room had been overtaken by an elaborate cardboard rocket ship. The dining room, once reserved for executive dinners, now served as mission control, covered in drawings of galaxies, star-shaped cookies, and a suspicious amount of aluminum foil. And the kitchen? Let's just say Maddie had introduced Harper and Hazel to the wonders of DIY slime. "I don't think blue raspberry scent is an actual slime flavor," Nathan muttered, eyeing the gooey substance oozing across his marble countertop. Maddie grinned as she rinsed glitter off a spatula. "Don't underestimate the power of faux fruit funk. It's part of the sensory learning experience." "The sensory disaster experience," Nathan replied, brushing a smudge of neon green off his shirt. "One door." Harper and Hazel squealed from the hallway. "Slime battle." Before he could react, Hazel streaked past, flinging a glob of blue toward her sister, who dodged and launched pink slime in return. It hit the edge of Nathan's sleeve. He sighed, but Maddie was already laughing. "Guess you're drafted Captain Brooks." He raised an eyebrow. "You're enjoying this?" "Absolutely. This house was too clean, too quiet. It needed a good glitter quake." Later that afternoon, Nathan watched as Maddie turned snack time into a royal tea party, assigning grandiose titles to everyone. Hazel was Commander Crumpet. Harper became Duchess of Doodles. The gardener walking past with shears in hand got dubbed the Leaf Whisperer. Even Nathan wasn't spared. "Sir emails a lot," Maddie declared as he entered the room with his tablet. "Endis bist på den. I prefer Baron of Budget forecasting," he replied dryly. Harper laughed so hard she spilled her juice. Nathan shook his head and smiled, genuinely smiled, the kind that caught even him off guard. Maddie noticed. "You're not bad at smiling, you know," she said later as she helped him clean slime from the chandelier. "You just don't do it enough." He paused. "Don't have much to smile about." "You do." "Now," she said, simply nodding toward the twins who were constructing tiaras out of pipe cleaners and chocolate wrappers. Nathan followed her gaze. For the first time in months, the girls weren't clinging to shadows or walking on eggshells. They were living, loudly, messily, joyfully. It was chaos. It was exactly what the house needed. And maybe he thought, as Maddie balanced on a chair to reach the slime-coated ceiling fan, maybe he needed it too. Just then, Hazel shouted, "Dad, come dance with us." "I don't dance," Nathan replied automatically. Maddie hopped down from the chair and tossed him a feather boa. Everyone dances. Some people just forget how. And so, 2 minutes later, the Baron of Budget Forecasting was in the hallway, awkwardly flamingo robot dancing, with 2 giggling girls and a nanny who somehow in just a few days had made the house feel like home again. The hallway at the end of the Brooks Mansion's West Wing had always been off limits. Maddie noticed it on her very first day. The only door that was always closed, no matter how loud the twins were or how far the slime trails reached. "What's in there?" she had once asked. "Just a room we don't use." Nathan had replied quickly, the answer a little too sharp, a little too rehearsed. But curiosity has a gravity of its own. That Thursday afternoon, while Harper and Hazel were preoccupied building a marshmallow roller coaster in the kitchen, Maddie tiptoed down the hallway. The closed door called to her. Just a peek, she told herself. Maybe it's storage. Maybe it's nothing. The doorknob was cool in her hand. It turned easily. The room inside was frozen in time. A floral scarf draped over a vanity chair. A book, mid-chapter, left open on the nightstand. A half-full perfume bottle beside a delicate hand mirror. Maddie stepped inside, slowly feeling like she was walking into someone's memory. There were photos everywhere. Harper and Hazel younger in their mother's lap. Nathan and his wife laughing during a New Year's Eve toast. A birthday card still propped on the dresser. "To my love, forever your dreamer." Maddie's eyes misted. She reached to straighten a tilted frame, and her elbow bumped the porcelain vase beside it. Time slowed. The vase tipped, teetered, and fell. Crash! The sound echoed through the room and down the hallway like a thunderclap. Maddie gasped, crouching to gather the shattered pieces. Her heart pounded. Footsteps thundered toward her. Nathan's voice exploded through the doorway. "What are you doing in here?" He stood, frozen fists clenched, staring at the broken shards on the floor. I didn't mean to. You went into my wife's room," he said, his voice low and shaking. "You broke her favorite vase. I'm sorry. It was an accident. It's not just a thing, Maddie. That vase was the last gift I gave her before she..." His voice cracked. He turned away. She wanted to cry. She wanted to fix it. But there was no fixing this. "Nathan," she said softly, "I know it hurts. I shouldn't have come in, but it's a vase, not her. And your girls need you here, now, not trapped in this one room forever." He turned back, eyes full of fury and something else. Grief, raw and unfiltered. Just then, small voices called from down the hallway. "Dad." The girls stood in the doorway. Harper's eyes darted to the broken porcelain. "Did something bad happen?" Maddie stood slowly, guilt-etched across her face. "I broke something special to your dad. Something that belonged to your mom." Hazel looked at her father. "Are you okay, Daddy?" Nathan didn't answer. The girls exchanged a look, one of those silent twin-language glances, and disappeared down the hall. A minute later, they returned, arms full of colorful modeling clay. "We're gonna make a new vase," Harper said confidently. "With glitter and stars." Nathan blinked. "And it won't break," Hazel added, "because it's made from love. And love doesn't break." They sat down right there, molding a new future with sticky hands and stubborn hope. And for the first time since losing his wife, Nathan sat down on the floor beside them. Maddie, quiet but present, joined them. Because some things can't be undone, but they can be remade. By the end of the week, Maddie had earned the rarest of honors. Hazel let her braid her hair without protest, and Harper declared her the official glitter captain of the universe. But not everyone was enchanted. At exactly 10 a.m. on a sunny Saturday morning, a sleek black town car pulled up to the Brooks estate. Out stepped Eleanor Hawthorne Nathan's mother-in-law, and matriarch of all things proper. She wore pearls heels that never touched a smudge, and an expression so tightly wound it could crack concrete. "Grandma Ellie," the girls shouted, running toward her. "Wanted bow, wa to." Eleanor opened her arms, but her eyes immediately scanned the scene. Harper's unicorn leggings, Hazel's shirt on backwards situation, and the rainbow chalk masterpiece that decorated the walkway. Her frown deepened. "And this must be the nanny," she said, turning toward Maddie. Maddie wiped her hands on her apron, still smudged with cookie dough, and extended one. "Hi, I'm Maddie." Eleanor did not shake it. "She looks like a birthday clown," Eleanor whispered loudly to Nathan. "I'm standing right here," Maddie said with a smile. Nathan winced. Inside, the tension only grew. Eleanor sipped her tea with a raised eyebrow, while the girls tried to convince her to join their cardboard castle siege. Maddie Ever, the peacemaker, offered homemade lemon scones and even referred to her as Lady Eleanor in a mock curtsy. It didn't help. "I expect better structure," Nathan Eleanor finally snapped. "These children are turning into wildlings, covered in glue, wearing mismatched socks. Where is the order? Where is the discipline?" Before Nathan could respond, an orange blur launched across the room. Maddie's cat, Sir Nibbles, who had apparently stowed away in her bag, had reappeared, with a vengeance. He leapt onto Eleanor's back and promptly dug his claws into her sweater. "Ah, get it off me." Chaos erupted. The girls screamed with laughter. Nathan lunged, but it was Maddie, calm, steady Maddie, who stepped forward. "Shh," she murmured gently, lifting the startled feline off Eleanor's back and cradling him. "He's just scared." "You startled him." Eleanor sat down hard, eyes wide and breath shallow. "I'm bleeding," she muttered, dabbing her neck with a napkin. "I've got this," Maddie said, grabbing the first aid kit. She cleaned the tiny scratches with a gentle touch, moving with the precision of someone who had done this before. "Where did you learn first aid?" Eleanor asked, clearly surprised. "My grandma was a nurse," Maddie replied. "She always said the best people are the ones who help others feel safe." Something changed in Eleanor's face, a crack in the ice. Minutes later, bandaged and calm, she sipped her second cup of tea in silence. "Thank you," she said quietly this time. Maddie nodded. "Anytime." Nathan watched the exchange from across the room, stunned, and Harper whispered to Hazel, "I think Maddie just won over the Ice Queen." Hazel grinned, with a cat and a cotton ball. Later that evening, as Eleanor sat in the garden, with a warm throw across her shoulders and the girls showing off their clay vase, she looked at Nathan. "She's not what I expected," she admitted. "No," Nathan said, watching Maddie play tag with the twins in the grass. "She's more—" The sun was high and golden over Willow Lake when Maddie suggested a family picnic. "A picnic?" Nathan echoed from behind his laptop. "You mean outside?" "Yes," Maddie replied, hands on her hips. "In the sun, with sandwiches, and no emails." Nathan groaned. "I've got 3 back-to-back calls today. And I've got 2 little girls begging for an adventure," Maddie countered. "What's more important? Profit margins or pirate scavenger hunts?" From the corner, Harper and Hazel perked up. Did someone say pirate? That settled it. 2 hours later, the Brooks family found themselves under a massive oak tree at the edge of Willow Lake. Maddie laid out a checkered blanket with surgical precision, mostly to poke fun at Nathan's obsessive alignment rituals. "You know it's just a blanket, right?" she teased. "I like things to be orderly," Nathan said, straightening a corner. Maddie raised an eyebrow. "I've seen your daughters pour slime down the stairs. That ship has sailed." The girls were already racing across the grass, yelling something about secret fairy kingdoms and sandwich currency. Maddie handed Nathan a container of lemonade and flopped onto the blanket. "You're really bad at relaxing," she said. "I'm trying," he muttered, loosening his tie. "This is just hard. What, sitting in the sun and being adored by your kids?" "No." He took a breath, letting go, not being in control all the time. Maddie turned to him. "You know what's even harder than letting go? Holding everything in so tight you forget how to breathe." He looked at her, something flickering in his eyes. The moment stretched until Maddie reached for the lemonade, knocking over Nathan's glass in the process. Orange liquid soaked the front of his pale blue shirt. "Oh my gosh!" Maddie lunged with napkins. "Your shirt! I'm so sorry." It's fine, he said, though. His clenched jaw said otherwise. You are internally combusting right now, aren't you? It's an expensive shirt. And this is life, Maddie said softly. Sticky, messy, and never going according to plan. At that moment, Hazel ran up dirt smudged on her cheek. Daddy, we're digging a hole for secrets. Want to help? Nathan stared. Secrets. We're burying them, Harper chimed in behind her, so they don't float around in our brains. What kind of secrets, Maddie asked. Hazel looked down. Like how we miss Mom, and how sometimes we worry you'll forget us because you're always working. The air went still. Nathan slowly crouched beside them. I work for you, to take care of you, but we want you, Daddy, Harper said, her voice cracking. Not just money. Nathan didn't respond right away. His hands shook slightly. Maddie knelt beside him. They don't need perfection, Nathan. They need presence. He looked up at her. Don't tell me how to parent. I'm not, she said, voice gentle but firm. But someone has to tell you. You're not failing. You're just scared. And so are they. Silence. Harper reached for his hand. Hazel leaned her head on his shoulder. Nathan closed his eyes, breathing in the moment. The lake, the dirt, the lemonade, the children who were asking for him. And beside him, the nanny who wouldn't stop fighting for them. No briefcase, no calendar, just this. Monday morning arrived with its usual urgency. Nathan had a high-stakes investor meeting at 10 a.m., his suit was pressed, his notes were prepared, and he was determined to keep the house chaos-free for just a few hours. But the universe, or more precisely, Harper and Hazel, had other plans. At exactly 9:04 a.m., strange noises echoed from the downstairs conference room. A mix of thud squeals and the unmistakable war cry of twin imagination. Nathan's eyes narrowed. What now? He stormed down the staircase, swung open the conference room door, and froze. The mahogany table had been transformed into a full-blown pirate ship. Bed sheets tied to chairs served as sails. Chairs were roped together like a deck. And in the center, Maddie sat proudly on his leather office chair, wearing an eye patch and sketching a treasure map with a feather pen. Ahoy, Captain, she called, not missing a beat. Nathan blinked. What did you do to my conference room? We improve morale, Maddie replied cheerfully. This is the SS Brainstorm. Our motto is conquer business with play. Are those ropes tied to my ergonomic chairs? Aye, sir. Secured by the princesses of productivity, Harper shouted, brandishing a foam sword. Nathan looked at his watch. The investors will be here in... Ding dong. He turned pale. They're early. Hazel saluted. Prepare for battle. No, no, no. UN prepare. Nathan frantically began tearing down the sails. Maddie tried to help, but the situation was far beyond repair. Just then, George the butler entered, followed by 3 impeccably dressed Japanese businessmen. Gentlemen, George said smoothly, may I present Mr. Nathan Brooks? The investors paused at the door, eyes sweeping over the chaos, the foam swords. The bed sheet sails, the glitter-dusted carpet, the captain's chair doubling as a throne. Nathan panicked and, red-faced, still had a paper parrot taped to his shoulder. Total silence. Harper broke it. Treasure ahead. Nathan braced for impact. Then, one of the men chuckled. Mr. Tanaka, the lead investor, stepped forward. Interesting, he said in perfect English. Is this a simulation? Nathan blinked. Yes. This is our innovation simulation strategy. We believe creativity is the bedrock of business. Maddie caught on instantly. We're piloting a new workplace model. Imagination zones, controlled chaos, reinventing boardroom culture. Mr. Sato raised an eyebrow. Even involving children. Maddie smiled. Who better than kids to teach us how to think beyond limits? The investors looked at each other. Then Mr. Yamamoto nodded. Fascinating. Nathan exhaled and gestured to the table. Now, part pirate ship, part impromptu meeting space. Shall we get started? The meeting lasted nearly 2 hours. Maddie and the girls stayed in character long enough to charm everyone, then retreated, leaving Nathan to pitch like never before. Spontaneous, genuine, and shockingly relaxed. At the end, Mr. Tanaka stood and offered his hand. We look forward to working with your highly creative team. As they left, Maddie peeked around the corner. Well, she asked. Nathan stared at her. You saved a $50 million deal with glitter fruit snacks and banana sushi metaphors. Technically, Maddie said I saved it with teamwork. Harper and Hazel burst from the hallway with hugs. You're the coolest pirate nanny ever. Nathan couldn't help but laugh. Next time, he said, brushing glitter off his lapel, warn me before launching Operation Pirate Pitch. No promises, Maddie said, winking. Dinner reservations had been made. Suits had been steamed. Curls had been tamed. Barely. Nathan checked his reflection in the car mirror for the 5th time, straightened his tie, then immediately loosened it again. It's just dinner, he muttered. A thank you dinner. For professionalism. But when Maddie stepped out of the taxi, wearing a navy dress and star-shaped earrings, Nathan forgot how to breathe. You clean up nice, barren of budget forecasting, she teased, tucking a curl behind her ear. And you? Well, you look expensive. Should I be worried this place won't take peanut butter-stained nannies? She grinned. Not unless they ban glitter by association. They entered La Lune, a high-end French restaurant with white tablecloths, polished silver, and chandeliers that looked like falling stars. Nathan had reserved a quiet table by the window, overlooking the city skyline. I feel like I should have brought a tiara, Maddie whispered as the host led them to their seats. Don't tempt me. I'm sure the twins have one in your size. She giggled. When the waiter presented the menu in a thick accent, Nathan translated, effortlessly recommending the grilled salmon. Maddie nodded thoughtfully. Does it come with ketchup? The waiter paled. Mademoiselle, I beg your pardon. Nathan choked on his water. I'm kidding, Maddie said with a wink. Mostly, as dinner progressed, their conversation flowed like the soft jazz playing from the corner of the room. They talked about everything. Maddie's big, noisy Midwestern family, Nathan's early days as a startup coder, Harper's obsession with space unicorns, and Hazel's new habit of hiding snacks in her rain boots. Nathan laughed more in those 2 hours than he had in the past 2 years. You want to hear something funny? He asked, swirling his wine glass. Always. Before you showed up, I didn't remember what it felt like to laugh, or dance in a hallway, or get glitter in my coffee. That's tragic, Maddie replied. A man without glitter is a man adrift. He smiled. You've changed things, Maddie. She looked down at her plate, then back up. So have you. They stepped outside after dessert, where a street musician played soft jazz under the glow of a lamppost. The street was quiet, peaceful. Nathan paused. Would you like to dance? Here she laughed. On the sidewalk. He shrugged. Why not? So, under the amber light of downtown Portland, with the city humming around them, Nathan and Maddie danced. It wasn't smooth, it wasn't planned, but it felt right. Until Maddie backed into a nearby taco truck and knocked over a container of salsa picante roja. Ace one de siscalt and ear. Ah, it's on my leg, she shouted, hopping away. Is this salsa or battery acid? Nathan tried not to laugh. Then he saw the bright red stain on his shirt. Oh no. They both stared at each other, drenched ridiculous and completely breaking into laughter. This always happens around you, he said between gasps. I'm a walking chaos magnet, and I think I'm addicted to the madness. That night they returned to the house with hot sauce in their hair, shoes in their hands, and matching smiles that didn't fade, even when they found the twins covered in face paint and declaring they'd joined Dad's tattoo club. Nathan looked at Maddie. Best date ever. The next morning, Nathan came downstairs expecting a peaceful breakfast. What he got instead were 2 tiny warriors sitting proudly at the kitchen table, each with a massive glittering dragon tattoo plastered across their face. What is that? He demanded, dropping his coffee. Good morning, Dragon Dad. Harper beamed, flexing her imaginary muscles. We're warrior sisters now, Hazel added. Nathan blinked, stunned. Take that off! But you have a tattoo too, Hazel said, pointing to his arm. He glanced down, confused, until he saw the faded dragon sticker Maddie had jokingly slapped on him a week ago. That's different, he muttered. Why? Harper asked, genuinely puzzled. Because I'm an adult. You're kids. And kids can't have fun, Hazel shot back. Before Nathan could respond, Maddie breezed into the kitchen with a coffee in one hand and a unicorn mug in the other. She took one look at the scene and grinned. Let me guess. The Dragon Sisters strike again. They spent an hour picking the right ones, she added, walking to the counter. Very serious business. Nathan turned toward her, incredulous. You saw this and didn't stop it. I did see it, and I encouraged it. Nathan sighed. They're going to school like this. It's summer, Nathan. He blinked. Still. What would people think? Maddie set her coffee down. That they have imagination. He opened his mouth to argue, but she didn't let him. You're scared, she said gently. I'm not scared. You're terrified, she said softer now, of losing control, of messing up, of letting them be weird and messy because you think it reflects badly on you. Nathan's jaw tensed. You don't understand. I'm raising them alone. There are rules, boundaries, protocols. There's 6, Nathan, not diplomats. Silence filled the room. Then Harper's voice, small and brave. Daddy, are you mad? Because we made ourselves different. Nathan looked at his daughters, the same eyes as their mother, and suddenly the dragon tattoos weren't funny or rebellious. They were hopeful. A little messy, a little wild, but full of life. He sighed and sat down beside them. I'm sorry, he said. I want to be a good dad. You are, Hazel said, hugging his arm. Even with a glitter dragon? He smiled, blinking back something in his eyes. Maddie handed him a wet cloth, then whispered, Want to know a secret? Sure. I'm scared every day that I'll mess something up, that I'll hurt them or say the wrong thing or forget a dentist appointment. But I keep showing up. That's what matters. Nathan looked at her. You always seem so confident. Confidence is just fear with glitter, she said, sipping her coffee. He laughed, a real loud belly laugh. And when Harper pulled out another dragon tattoo for him, this one gold and enormous, he didn't resist. Hold still, Daddy, Hazel said. You're going to be the king of fire. By the time the sun rose high enough to light the living room, Nathan Brooks, the man once terrified of chaos, had a sparkly dragon stretching across his forehead. And for the first time, he wore it like a badge of honor. Sunday morning arrived with an eerie calm. The twins weren't yelling, slime wasn't smeared on any major appliances, and Maddie was gone. Nathan sat at the kitchen table, sipping lukewarm coffee and trying to ignore the sharp, hollow feeling in his chest. She just went to see her grandma, he told himself aloud. One day, she'll be back. But the silence was deafening. Harper and Hazel sat across from him, barely touching their cereal. Hazel stirred the milk in slow circles, while Harper stared at the empty hallway. Can we call her? Hazel asked, voice small. She said she'd come back tomorrow, Nathan replied, forcing a smile. She promised. What if she doesn't? Harper mumbled. Like the other nannies. Nathan stiffened. Maddie wasn't like the others. She made bad jokes, wore donut-patterned socks, played the kazoo like it was a battle horn. She stayed when things got hard. She listened. And yet, she was gone. Trying to salvage the morning, Nathan suggested, let's make a castle with the Legos. Hazel shrugged. Maddie makes spaceships. I can try to make one. 30 frustrating minutes later, Hazel knocked over a tower by accident and the entire structure collapsed. She burst into tears. I can't do it right. Maddie always helps. She makes it better. Nathan knelt beside her, trying to hold her, but Hazel pulled away. Why did she leave? Harper whispered. She's gone like Mom. No, she's not, Nathan said quickly. She's coming back. You don't know that, Harper replied. And Nathan realized he didn't. Eventually, he got them both settled in front of a movie and retreated to the downstairs bathroom. He caught a glimpse of himself in the mirror, still wearing the gold dragon tattoo across his forehead, still surrounded by glittery chaos. But without Maddie, it all felt empty. He sat on the floor, head in his hands until his phone buzzed. A voice message from Maddie. He pressed play. For Nathan, who tried to be super dad, but got Legos stuck in his hair. So bad. For Harper, the brave, and Hazel, so bright. Sleep well, my darlings. I'll be back by night. Nathan laughed despite himself. Then he hit call. Hey, Maddie answered, her voice tired but warm. Hey, he said, swallowing. How's your grandma? Better. She needed a visit. She asked about the girls. They miss you, he said quietly. Do you? He hesitated. I miss the noise. No, she said, that's not what you miss. He didn't answer. He didn't have to. Maddie paused. I'll be back tomorrow morning, early, with stories, and maybe matching dragon tattoos. Nathan smiled into the silence. I'll tell the girls. You okay? She asked. Now I am, he replied. That night, Nathan stayed up late folding tiny socks and reorganizing the glitter bins Maddie had installed in the craft closet. Because he finally realized he didn't want Maddie in the house just for Harper and Hazel. He wanted her there, for him too. By Monday morning, the Brooks house felt different. And it wasn't just the pancakes. Maddie burst through the door at exactly 8:59 a.m., arms full of shopping bags, a suitcase rolling behind her, and a wide smile that made Harper and Hazel scream like puppies at a homecoming. "My favorite family," she shouted as the girls tackled her. Nathan stood back, arms crossed, trying to look composed. "You're early," he said. Obviously, she grinned. "I had to get here before your coffee ran out and the glitter riots began." The girls pulled her into the kitchen, chattering nonstop. "What's in the bags? Did Grandma Rosa make us cookies again? Did you bring more tattoos?" "Yes, yes, and absolutely yes," Maddie laughed, unloading wool scarves, puppet sticker kits, and a karaoke microphone. By noon, the house was a joyful mess. Then Harper had an idea. A talent show. Hazel gasped. "Yes, Dad, you're the judge." Nathan, mid-sip of coffee, choked. "What? You sit in the big chair, Maddie sets the stage, and we perform." Maddie didn't even blink. "You heard the producers? Let's do this." Within 20 minutes, the living room transformed into a mini theater, chairs, arranged in rows, a crayon-colored sign reading Brooks Got Talent, and Maddie wearing a feather boa as host. Nathan was ceremoniously placed in the judge throne, with a glitter clipboard and scorecards made from cereal boxes. First up, Harper the Magnificent. She made a coin disappear behind her back, turned a scarf into another scarf, and pulled a rubber duck from a hat. "Score," Maddie prompted, handing Nathan the makeshift mic. 8, Nathan said solemnly. "Points for flair. -2 for revealing the duck too early." Fair Harper nodded, bowing dramatically. Next, Hazel the songstress. She sang a heartfelt ballad titled "Dinosaurs Need Love," too complete with roaring choruses and interpretive dance. Nathan clapped. 9. I've never rooted for a T-Rex in love before. Finally, Maddie took the stage for a ridiculous sock puppet performance that ended in her tripping over a beanbag and collapsing in laughter. 7. Nathan chuckled. Chaos deduction. Harsh, Maddie muttered. Then the twins whispered disappeared for 2 minutes and re-emerged in matching pink tutus. "This next act," Harper announced, "is dedicated to someone special." They dragged Maddie back onto the stage and turned on the karaoke mic. To Nathan's surprise, they sang a sweet, wobbly, totally made-up song. Our house was quiet. Our days were gray. Then someone showed up and made us okay. She reads and she sings. She smells like snacks. She gave us laughter and brought joy back. Maddie stood frozen, hand over her heart. Then Harper said, "You're not just a nanny." Hazel added, "You're our mom of the heart." Silence. Maddie's eyes welled. "You two," she whispered, "just made me the richest woman on earth." Nathan looked at her across the room, and in that moment, watching her embraced by the girl's eyes shimmering heart wide open, he felt something in his chest give way. Not break. Open. And for once he didn't question it. "Score," Harper asked. Nathan cleared his throat. 10, and he meant it. The next morning the house was suspiciously quiet. Maddie raised an eyebrow as she walked into the living room. No slime explosions, no glitter clouds, no screaming about space unicorns. That's when she saw the crayon signs taped to the walls. Operation Parent Kiss, do not enter unless you are getting married. She stopped in her tracks. Oh no. Nathan appeared around the corner, looking equally bewildered and holding a paper crown. "They locked me in my office for 20 minutes. I just got ambushed by streamers," Maddie said. "They declared me the bride of the year." Before they could escape, Harper and Hazel emerged from behind the couch in full wedding-efficient attire, robes made from curtains and necklaces of popcorn strings. "Welcome," Hazel announced. "To your wedding," Harper grinned. Nathan blinked. "Excuse me." "You're in love," Hazel said matter-of-factly. "We see the looks," Harper added. "You tried to slow dance last week. You made slime together. And you smiled. A lot." Maddie tried to speak, but they were already dragging her to the makeshift altar, a coffee table decorated with toilet paper flowers. Nathan was fitted with a construction paper bow tie. Maddie got a feather crown. "You may now say your vows," Harper declared with absolute authority. "Girls, this is pretend," Nathan began. "Unless it's not," Hazel said, crossing her arms. Maddie laughed nervously, brushing a curl from her cheek. "This is a very elaborate prank." Harper folded her arms. "You don't prank with cookies and a flower bouquet." Hazel held up the bouquet, half dandelions, half gummy worms. "Maddie," Nathan said, trying to regain control, "we don't, this is But Maddie cut him off. Her eyes were gentle, certain. "Nathan," she said softly, "this might be silly, but what I feel for you isn't—" He looked up at her, stunned. "I love you," she whispered. "And not just because your kids ambush me with love songs and cereal box microphones." A silence fell over the room. Hazel gasped. Harper clapped. Nathan blinked, then smiled. "I love you too," he said, completely, unexpectedly, and entirely. The girls screamed. "You may now kiss," they shouted in unison. Nathan hesitated for only a second. Then he stepped forward, cupped Maddie's face, and kissed her, softly, tenderly, while standing between a deflated unicorn balloon and a couch fort. Confetti okay, shredded homework rained from the ceiling. A CD player blasted the chorus of "Can't Help Falling in Love." Harper and Hazel twirled like tiny flower girls. When the kiss ended, Maddie laughed breathlessly. "I can't believe we just got married in a living room decorated with napkins." Nathan shrugged. "Best wedding I've ever had." Hazel grabbed their hands. "You're our real family now." And Nathan, who had once tried so hard to control the world, let go of everything, except the hand of the woman who'd brought him back to life. 3 weeks later, Nathan Brooks found himself pacing the backyard in a navy blue suit and flamingo-themed flip-flops, glancing nervously at the ring box in his pocket. This wasn't the boardroom. There were no PowerPoint slides, no quarterly forecasts. Just him, a backyard full of glitter, and two extremely overexcited 6-year-olds orchestrating what they were calling the real wedding, this time with legal vibes. Maddie, unaware of the surprise, thought she was coming out for a simple sandwich taste test. Instead, she stepped into a backyard transformed. The patio was strung with fairy lights. Crayon banners flapped in the wind. Rose petals were scattered across the grass, alongside Legos and gummy bears. The twins were dressed like flower fairies and carried a karaoke mic for the ceremony. "What on earth?" Maddie began. Nathan turned around visibly nervous. "I know it's not a cathedral," he said, rubbing the back of his neck, "but I figured you'd prefer marshmallow cake and chalk drawings over crystal chandeliers." Maddie blinked. "What is this?" Harper held up a sign. "Operation Real Wedding Proposal Phase." Hazel giggled. "You have to say yes. There are s'mores at stake." Nathan dropped to one knee, holding out the simple velvet box. "Maddie Carter," he said, voice shaking but steady. "You came into our lives like a glitter tornado. You healed us with slime stories and that ridiculous sock puppet voice. You taught me that love doesn't need structure, it just needs heart." Tears welled in Maddie's eyes. "I don't want a perfect life," Nathan continued. "I want our life, loud, messy, magical, with you, forever. Will you marry me? For real?" This time, gummy ring included. Harper and Hazel jumped in sync, yelling, "Say yes, or we'll melt down emotionally." Maddie burst into laughter, tears spilling over. "Yes!" she shouted, leaping forward and knocking Nathan into the grass. He laughed as he slipped the ring on her finger, and the backyard erupted in celebration. The guests, Maddie's grandma on FaceTime, neighbor kids, George the butler, and even a reluctantly smiling Eleanor, cheered as the twins declared them official Sparkle-certified parents. Hours later, the stars came out over the backyard. The marshmallow cake was demolished. Maddie danced barefoot with Harper, while Hazel gave George a glitter makeover. Nathan pulled Maddie aside, holding her close as soft music floated from a Bluetooth speaker. "You're really going to marry me?" he asked, half in disbelief. Maddie rested her head on his shoulder. "Already did. 3 weeks ago. This is just our encore." He smiled, pulling her closer, as the twins twirled around them, glowing in the fairy lights. And just like that, under the open sky and sticky frosting fingerprints, the Brooks family became whole. Not perfect, but whole. Later that night, long after the final sparkler had faded and the backyard had settled into sleepy quiet, Nathan and Maddie stood in the kitchen, barefoot icing in their hair, twin shoes scattered across the floor. "Do you realize what we've done?" Maddie asked, sipping water from a unicorn mug. Nathan leaned against the counter, loosening his tie. "You mean, besides surviving a wedding with paper crowns, marshmallow cake, and legal advice from a 6-year-old? Maddie smiled. "Yeah, besides that." He looked around the house, still a little chaotic, still glowing with life. The same walls that used to echo with silence now pulsed with laughter. Silly songs and bedtime stories. It wasn't about fixing the past. It was about building something new. together. You know, Nathan said before you came along, I used to think a family had to look a certain way. Tidy, structured, grief-proof. She raised an eyebrow. Spoiler alert, nothing is grief-proof. I know that now, he said softly, and I also know we're gonna mess up sometimes. Oh, constantly, Maddie agreed. I give us 3 days before the twins try to marry the dog. He chuckled, then stepped closer. But we'll figure it out, he said. Together. Maddie reached up, touched the corner of his mouth. You're smiling again. I haven't stopped since you spilled hot sauce on my shoes. They stood like that for a moment, quiet, steady whole. Upstairs, Harper and Hazel were fast asleep. Sir Nibbles the cat snored softly on a pile of glitter-stained laundry. A paper crown lay forgotten on the couch. The house was a beautiful, glorious mess. And this time, that was exactly how it was meant to be. Because family doesn't come wrapped in perfection. It comes with sticky fingers, mismatched socks, and the kind of love that dances through disaster and stays anyway. And as Maddie leaned her head on Nathan's shoulder and whispered, "We've got this," he believed her. He always would.